Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much to Neil. Wow, what an introduction at 5 o'clock Pacific Coast time. I hope everybody is in a good mood. Everybody's awake. Everybody had enough coffee. And what I'd like to do is really, as Sunil mentioned, I would like to kind of show a couple of examples of how we kind of see our program that we are developing right now with the men's national team connected to all the stuff that you are doing in all different areas, in all different approaches, with all different opinions, because obviously there is no such one opinion, the right one. You know, soccer is a wonderful game where everybody can express himself, herself, and everybody has a different way of doing it, because we're all individuals. We are not franchises. It's not another Starbucks. It is just the way you do it with your personality. It's the way you have your players to deal with. It's their characteristics. It's their strengths, weaknesses, and all that. So we all work very similar, but still different. So it's not the way that we can mirror the women's team or the men's team. We can just take examples from different teams and learn them. And I'm a kind of a person that, I was very fortunate throughout my career. I had about 20 coaches throughout my professional career, from Cesar Luis Menotti to a Trapattoni to a Beckenbauer, Ray Hagel, an OCR Dealers, many different coaches, and every one of them taught me something. Every one of them gave me something on my way that I now kind of can implement with my team here. So I was very fortunate. So what we're trying to do right now with the team is to make them understand that they have to develop their own inner drive to learn every day. And I would like to show a little video now that we did kind of a summary of our January camp, where we usually bring in most MLS players. We just had 2 or 3 Europeans coming in, and we run them through 3.5 weeks of torture. We have 2 friendly games, so we have to shoot them up from 0 to 100, and we did that, and they did amazingly well, but it was quite a challenge. What we're trying to do is we try to teach them or show them that they are in charge of their own destiny. Now, we coaches, that's my belief, we can only give the tools, we can give the guidelines, we can give the ideas, but then it's down to the kids, it's down to the players, what they want to do with it. How far they want to go, how hungry they are, how much they can suffer, and all these things. All I want to ask you is that just give it all you can. Look into the mirror at the end of the day and ask yourself, did you give everything today?
Once the test gets going, I just want you to communicate with me through thumbs up, thumbs down.
We can plate basically a perfect plate, right? Get lots of color in terms of your fruits and vegetables, lean protein, so more chicken, more fish, more turkey, red meats, leaner red meats. If you want to do some raw veggies, if you like salad, like a spinach salad or something.
I could try.
Bring your shoulders on your back, fold inside your front thigh, and breathe into your back body.
Just to show what happens, cortisol will start to rise as training gets more intense and into longer duration. And when that happens, testosterone and insulin should be on here as well. We'll start to dip. So we want to get in a shake within 30 minutes of training. So you guys got 30 minutes to get something in.
I think you are hungry for the ball, so we let you express yourselves a bit, and obviously for us also an opportunity to get to know you a little bit.
Trust me, those don't, I feel like from the guy looking outside in, it doesn't look like we're running all that hard, but changing directions is real tough.
the reaction if Wando loses the ball. Am I connected or am I disconnected? First of all, we move and shift and do everything as a team. So that means we're going to be all really close to each other and connected. The work they put in now the last 2.5 weeks has been tremendous.
Hi everybody, it's Drew Carey from The Price is Right. I came out here to Phoenix especially tonight, and I'm really busy. I honestly I really don't have the time to travel, but I wanted to see you guys play. There's a lot of MLSers, a lot of guys from the MLS here tonight, and I just love all you guys, and I want to see you do well, and I want to see you succeed, and I truly appreciate all the hard work you put into this effort, especially you, Brett Evans. You hunkies, hunk you.
Venezuela is a team that is on the rise in South America. A couple of months ago they beat Argentina in a World Cup qualifier. So it is really a tough team to play, but that's what we need. We need these kind of games.
This is what we've been looking forward to since we got the email or the call from Jurgen talking about camp. 2 games at the end of this camp is something that we really push ourselves these first 2.5 weeks. So now it's the fun part, and to be able to put on the U.S. jersey is pretty special. So.
Basically, my perspective, Sunil mentioned real quick, I moved over here in '98 after the World Cup in France. I have an American wife, 2 kids, a boy 14, he's playing goalie now, a girl 10, she's playing defender, and I don't know what I did wrong. But they're having a blast. They're having a blast, both of them. You know, obviously, I watch their training sessions. I go to their games. I mean, who knows the Southern Californian soccer landscapes, knows the Lancasters of the world and the San Bernardinos and all that stuff. So I know these places too. Obviously, now I'm really, really privileged to have this role as a head coach of the men's team. And you are extremely important to us, because not only because you're the largest partner of U.S. Soccer, because you run the show throughout the whole country. And that's why I feel very privileged to talk to you this morning. When I came on board, the way I learned the game, the way I was taught it by many different coaches, as I mentioned before, I always kind of learned it the way that I do exactly in training what I do in a game. So I'm not slowing down in training, and I kind of shoot myself up to 200 miles an hour in a game. So this is also how I train, how I kind of prepare the men's team. We're going to go high intensity from the first day on when you go into a camp. We're trying to develop a flow in every training session. We're trying to develop a flow in the different exercises because I'm a deep believer, and I think I mentioned that maybe 10 years ago when I was invited to the NSCAA convention where I did a presentation. At that time I was youth soccer, that the game is the teacher, is my opinion. You know, there's nothing better than let the ball run and let them make their decisions, let them make their own calls. And I'm doing the same with the men's national team. When I jump in and I correct something, which we all have to do at a certain point, then it's really because I need to mention it right away and I can't wait until the exercise is over. So I let it run. I hate the word freeze. I really hate that when I'm on the sideline and I see coaches doing that all the time. If it's now, I went through a very painful high school period with my son. He's a freshman. And I heard that all the time. I almost wanted to jump on the field, but I held myself back. So I really believe that let the exercise be the teacher. Let them explore it. Let them make their mistakes. And we all make the mistakes anyway, no matter if we are coaches or if we are players. I'm pretty sure you read that book or you heard about the book, The Talent Code. I think it really kind of nails it down. Is, you know, obviously the more you play, the better you get. The more you coach, the better of a coach you're going to be. So there are very, very experienced coaches in this room over 20, 30, 40 years you're coaching that game. So it's amazing. You have amazing knowledge in your back pocket. So you have many cards in your back pockets to play. I really believe that if you understand that the talent is one thing, but work is another thing. So if you go to the elite level, we go to the higher level, you know, you can have the biggest talent. And I played with kids when I grew up. They were far more talented than I was. Yeah, but they never made it up there because they didn't have that dedication. They didn't have that hunger. They didn't have that nastiness that you need on a professional level. You've got to be nasty if you want or not. And it's you then that has to be the inner drive. It's not your coach and it's not your teammates. So we really encourage the players every time we get together to understand, hey, you are in charge of your own destiny. It's not your coach, you know, it's not the people outside. We're trying to kind of give them opportunities to see different environments. I mean, I sent a lot of MLS players overseas after the season was over. With MLS, I got criticized here. Why is he doing that? Because I want them to move out of their comfort zone. I want them to see how a Premier League team trains, how a Bundesliga team trains, and get the difference. You know, make up your own mind. I'm not saying it's better or it's worse. I'm just saying get to different places, and I'm sure that, you know, people in Boston feel differently to people in New York, to people in LA. So you need to experience those environments. And that's why I'm saying, if I think about my kids and if I see the young kids playing there, you know, I always tell the people when they ask me something, encourage them to kick the ball around on their own. Encourage them to go wherever. Encourage them to hook up in their free time just to play, to kick the ball around. It doesn't matter where it is. I mean, obviously we're all concerned as parents that they're in a safe environment, because you don't let your kid anymore go around the corner and just, you know, do whatever they want to do, because we're all worried about there's the wrong people behind that corner. But I think it is important that we encourage them to do stuff on their own. Cut. I mean, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to hold it on. You heard that maybe kind of a few times, you know, this whole talk about style of play. Where should it go? You know, how should your men's team play? How should your women's team play? I mean, this discussion will go on forever, you know, because it's the most fun to talk about that, because all of you have your own style of doing it. So I'm not saying I'm doing it the right way. I'm just saying that I would like to develop a style of play that you are happy with, the players are happy with, and we are capable actually to play. So if I'm seeing that, I mean, my preferred style of play would be Spain right now, but if I don't have the players for it, I might not do it, because at the end of the day, I want to win games too. It's really important for us right now to explain the players when they come into camp, you know, what we expect from them by position, and that we train, as I said before, the way we want to play, very intense, you know, that we try out different style of plays to kind of challenge them, you know, how do you play it in a 4-2-3-1, how do you play it in a 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, and all that stuff. Try it out, and we'll see, you know, how you're going to do with it. It's not going to work out perfectly anyway. So we want to have these games and these exhibitions you know, against good teams. Like in 2 weeks from now, we're going to be in Italy. We play Italy, one of the best teams in the world, on their way back, on their way up again, you know, and we're going to challenge them, you know, and we'll see how far we can go. But I think we can actually give them a real fight there in Genoa in 2 weeks, you know. Then I also understand results matter, you know, because we're going to go in World Cup qualifying, and all you expect your team is going straight to Brazil. So I understand that, so I hope I will take care of that, you know, and get the results in. Related then, this the same way, we want to develop something. I think you are developers, you know, we all are in a certain way. It doesn't matter if they're 30 or if they're 15 or if they're 10. So you always should have the long-term thoughts in your mind, you know, to teach them, you know, to let them play, to be comfortable with the ball, and to make the difference in your exercise, and everything you do is the variation of speed. When they ask me, what's the biggest difference now to the Bundesliga, the Premier League? I mean, I think Landon just mentioned in an interview a couple of days ago, it's, oh, I have to slow myself down coming back to MLS. I thought it kind of, you know, I don't want to slow myself down. Man, you know, why don't you pick up the same pace in MLS than you do in the Premier League? So it is all about speed nowadays, you know. So if you're technically very gifted and you can't express it with 150 miles an hour, then you will have a problem on a very high level. So you got everything you learn, you do, you handle with the ball, the way you read the game, your vision on the field, you got to do it at high speed and in a moment when you're out of breath, you know. So these elements, these are the differences then the higher you go, because the air gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Obviously, winning is not the same as developing, you know, a style of play, because when you develop a style of play, you carry some risks, you know. But I want to encourage you to carry some risk, you know, and maybe push through that little guy that is physically not that much developed right now, but he's really gifted. And you know that maybe in 2 years from now, he suddenly has a growth spurt and he's going up and boom, he's right there. So don't let him be there on the side, because you know already, you read the kid, he's good, but he's not strong enough yet. I mean, I was lucky, my boy is already 6'1" at the age of 14, so that helps him now as a goalie. But if he's, I don't know, 4'11", you know, and he's really talented, you know, he should get that chance as well. So always look kind of a couple of years from now, where could that kid be, you know, if you help him through that period. And we all kind of, people that are more inspiring than any other thing. You know, you can inspire a kid, you can help a kid, but you can't obviously wake up their inner drive. It's all themselves, what they got to decide it at the end of the day. But the biggest challenge for, in my opinion, for a youth coach, and when I saw my little ones being really little, is, you know, is the kid going back there the year afterwards again? You know, is he kind of going year by year, or is he leaving the program because somebody was screaming at him, you know, somebody made it really uncomfortable, some parents were going over the edge because they dream at the age of 10 already about the scholarship, and all that stuff. So we are there to give them positive guidance. Todd. We're looking at developing the national team, and I'm sure that Pia is doing very similar in her way, about the whole person. You know, we need to understand what we are kind of lacking towards the big nations in the world, and we're trying to catch up. So what I'm trying to do is to make the players understand that if they go that route and become professionals, it's a 24/7 approach. There's no such thing saying, I'm going to train one time a day or 2 times a day, and then I'm done. No, it's a commitment for life, at least for these 10, 15 years that they have as professional players. So we're going to hammer them with a lot of different ideas and thoughts. You know, we took them in training camp there, we took them to Whole Foods Market with a nutritionist, as you saw in the video. So they had to learn how to pick their food and understand, you know, what is the difference, you know, between organic food and the other food, I call it. There's a big difference, you know, because if we want to catch up with the best in the world, we need to have a lot of energy. But if that energy is not there because I eat wrong, then no, we have a problem minute 60 or minute 75 at the latest, because they can't have the same energy anymore. Now, as an example, Barcelona now, for their youth academy, they hired a Michelin star chef for their youth academy, La Masia. And they only serve organic food. Nothing else than organic food. So I'm telling now my players, you should only eat organic food if you want to catch up. You know, if you want to give it the 100%, that's the 100%. If you want to give it the 70%, then go around the corner and have some fast food. It might be not even 30% if you do that. But we encourage them to understand it's far more. It's everything you do off the field. You know, we took them to the Panama Canal, we took them to the Castle of Versailles in Paris. You know, we took them to the Ground Zero in New York when we played the home game against Ecuador, just to make them think, you know, I'm constantly learning here. I'm like a sponge. And I think that's the same with the kids. You know, when I'm driving now to San Bernardino, to one of these amazing weekends up there, I'm trying to figure out, so what can we give him? What can we give her outside of that whole thing? You know, can we maybe show her whatever little aircraft museum there, or you know, a special place to go, a restaurant that is maybe a bit different to the other ones. So I think that's what you do anyway. So I mean, I see soccer as a simple tool. Soccer is a tool for you to communicate a lot of different things that you want to communicate. I mean, languages is one of them, you know. Obviously, if it's history, if it's museum, if it's geography, there's no better thing to talk geography than soccer. Because if you talk about Argentina, you talk about River Plate, Boca Juniors, you talk about Rio, you talk about, you know, Flamengo and all these teams. So there's so many things you can connect with soccer, which the kids love far more than, you know, if it would be school. So we going at them. We tell them it's 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're real professional, if you want to take it easy, you will never reach your potential. It's as simple as that. So the players now, they start to think, okay, what does it really mean? So we test them. If it's fitness, if it's a blood chemistry, and I could tell them after a deeper blood check, okay, you're lacking magnesium, zinc, you're lacking vitamin B, vitamin B12. So we're trying to hammer it into their system, saying sleep is important, the way you live it, you know. Maybe go at 3 o'clock at night, don't chat anymore with your buddies in America because you should sleep, you know. Maybe come on time to a training session in Ingolstadt in Germany because the Germans don't like it when you're not on time. So we're trying to get these messages out, and they're picking it up. They're picking it up. They're trying to get it. Not everyone will get it. I will lose some players over the next 2.5 years going towards Brazil. And as you know as coaches, it's a normal process. The next hungrier one steps up. You know, it might be just 18, 19 right now, and he will go to Brazil then in 2.5 years. Maybe a name that you don't even know right now, that we have kind of a little bit further back. So what does it mean for us with the kids? It's exactly the same. We want them to eat right, we want them to be healthy, we want them to be energetic, to have the energy at the right places. We want to have them do things on their own. So I came in and said, you know, every second dinner you go. I mean, it's go. I don't want to see you in a hotel. Go, figure it out, go to the concierge, figure out a restaurant, go. You know, give them their time on their own. And I think they really like that. So we are trying to encourage them constantly to live a life as they actually should. You know, and Messi and Xavi and Iniestas of the world, that's what they do. It's just they committed full-time, 24/7 to that job, and they will try to do it as long as they can because they're making not only a lot of money with it, because they love it. They really love it. But they also know if they don't do it anymore or they don't want to live that lifestyle, they have the next in line, you know. And if Ibrahimovic at Barcelona doesn't want to play the way Barcelona wants to play, they move him on, go. Or if it's Ronaldinho, move him on, go. Or Zambrotta and all these other guys. So it's as simple as that. And I wish one day we have that choice of players that we can run them through the system. We're trying to go away a bit from the thought, you know, oh, he can play multiple positions. I'm not a deep believer in that. I understand that we should have multiple positions, kind of choices in the youth ranks, trying things out. If it's a left winger, a left back. If it's a center back, a left center back and a left back. Like about Carlos Bocanegra, he can play center back as a left center back, and he can play left back. But I say he's 100% left center back and he's a 85% left back. So I don't want to lose those 15%. So I really believe that everyone has his strongest position, and that's what we're trying to focus on. I do not want to lose this 10-15% putting somebody in a second position, which will always happen here and there. Oh, you know, we got to modify it now, we got to switch something. But then I know, okay, hopefully he gives me all 85% he has now for not making a difference too big, you know, if I have somebody to move out of his positions. So we're going through that process, and we try to explain to players really in detail what we expect from the left back, what we expect from the right midfielder, and from a striker. Obviously, in your area with a lot of the kids, you know, figure it out over time what's the best for the kid. But then when he's 16, 17, 18, he should know where his spot is, because that's the moment when he needs to pick up a lot of hunger and a lot of drive. And that's where he needs to become nastier and really focused if he wants to make it all the way up to our team. Next one. We believe it has a lot to do with new experiences, with being always introduced to other stuff, but also playing the best teams in the world with the risk, and I see Sunil there, that we might get hammered in Italy or against Brazil in June, which we won't. But there's always a risk, you know, when you play the biggest nations in the world, that if they have a real good day, then there is another level there that we want to climb. There's another mountain that we want to climb. And we talked about that after the France game. We lost 1-0 in Paris, and we could actually have scored the equalizer in the last 10 minutes. But to be honest, you know, if they would have stepped it up another level, which they have, another gear, which they have, we could have gotten 2, 3, or 4 that day. So 1-0 was all right then at the end. So there is a lot for us still to learn. And we only learn from the better teams. So whenever there is a chance for us to play the best teams, we will try to play them, you know, not forgetting what matters then once World Cup qualification is coming up. So for the youth level, it means we constantly have to encourage things to kind of drive for the next level, to do more complicated things, you know, to be really kind of tickled, you know, and expect more from them. And yeah, just really encouraging them to try things out. With, again, the different positions at younger ages is totally cool. So we try to build, you know, everything we can based on their strengths. That doesn't mean we're not talking about their weaknesses. You know, like they talk probably every day about the coach's weaknesses, a favorite topic for players, obviously, which we also have. But then we kind of switch it around a little bit. You know, we don't call them weaknesses. Then, you know, in psychology we talk it that's an opportunity. You know, so we say, you know, okay, you know, you could actually, you know, be a second fast over the 110 yards. So we have a huge kind of upside in that. You know, your endurance could be better, or your left foot could be much better. So there are always these upsides. So we try to define it in a way that, you know, work on your opportunities there. There's so much you can get better in. We're working now with a guy together. He's a funny guy. I wish he could come in for a presentation one day. His name is Roy Sugarman. He's a brain scientist. You call him a neuroscientist, I think, in a medical language. Out of Australia, and he taught us very simple, said for every negative comment that we give a person, you need 3 positive comments to balance it out. So for every critic you give a player, you got to come up with 3 good things, you know, to get it back in balance. Now he says in a relationship, you know, like a marriage, you need 5 to balance out the one bad one. And then he goes on top and says, well, in a team environment, and it's funny that it's not related to soccer, it's really scientifically, supposedly proven. In a team environment, you need 11 good things to balance out 1 negative thing. That's quite a challenge for us coaches. So I don't know if they have 11 good things. Even when I talk about Landon, I don't know if I find the 11 good ones. But it is interesting. He says, you know, the positive messages that we give the players are really, really, really important. They're all important for all of us. Even if we get an encouragement, if we get a compliment, I think it's important for all of us to get it from the positive side. So we tell them, embrace the game, it's your game. No, meaning the same is the love of the game for every kid that plays it out there, no matter in what environment, what club, how big it is, doesn't really matter if it's academy, non-academy and all that stuff. It's his game. Plays it once a week, 6 times a week, no difference. Hot, let's go. We tell him clearly, respect is very, very important. And maybe it's a little bit my German background, this whole discipline thing, from Germans and being on time and all that. But I'm not kidding around with that stuff. If I see a player not being respectful to the equipment manager or the bus driver or to a fan, he has a real problem with me. I really go into his face. And I think it's really important. And I see it sometimes with my son now, he's a freshman, and it's all this being cool and want to impress, and the girl things kick in and all that. Almost every day I pick him up from school, I got to put it back in line. And I said, what is it with you guys? I mean, but it is important, and we try the best we can do. Are we perfect in what we're doing? No. I mean, do they take it every time? No. But it's worth trying it and doing it all the time. So we tell the players clearly that respect to everybody around you is very, very important, because you represent the US, and that's big. So that goes the same, what we're trying to tell our kids is really, appreciate what you can do, appreciate, your coaches, the parents, all the work that is put in, appreciate every opportunity for you to kick the ball around in a safe environment, and hopefully when they're, leaving college, then one day they're coming back and says, hey, thanks. That's the big wish of a parent, thanks again for all those years you're dragging me to San Bernardino and all these places. Obviously, they are different, very, very different paths. My path was very different to most of your paths, but every path is fascinating. So every story that is in this room would be a fascinating story to hear, to listen to, of every one of you. And so there is no perfect path, not for David Beckham, and not for Landon Donovan, and not for any youth kid out there. They got to find their way through, they got to fight it through, and they got to develop that inner drive that will make them hopefully a big player one day. And we are there to support that path. So it doesn't matter if you're in a college environment, a youth environment, recreational environment. The principles are all the same. The game is the same. The love for the game is the same. And you create that environment. That's what I want to say with that slide. It's that you, at the end of the day, you decide how the experience will be, how the day-to-day will go. If it will be a positive day with a lot of positive points, or if it will be a day when you say after dinner, it was a bit stressful today, it was not really my day or whatever. But it's us, we can create that environment for the kids, for them, and hopefully, they're getting something out of it. Because when they get something out of it, and we have that feeling at the end of the day, then we feel good too. No? If he had a good day, we feel good too. So that's what I mean with that. There's no one pathway, but we decide on the pathway what route you want to go. You decide your way of how to communicate to a player, louder, kind of not so loud, positive, not so positive. It's every second is that decision to make. How do I guide now these players? Do I give them a kick in the backside, or do I give them a hug? And all these elements are so important, and that's why we should never forget about all these little things that happen throughout the entire day. And that's why every individual is different. When I took on Germany in 2004, I went to specialists and I said, well, I'm not a sports psychologist. I never went to college. I became pro at 16. So how do I now communicate with these players? What is the right way to do it? They're all different characters, they have different environments, different families. Some come from divorced families, some come from, whatever neighborhoods. Like Jurgen Jones comes from the worst neighborhood in Frankfurt you can imagine. But it drove him to where he is now. Now is he always on the edge? Yep, because of his neighborhood. But I need to figure out, so how can I help now Jurgen Jones that he's the best Jurgen Jones for us with all his qualities? And how can I minimize the negative side that he carries in him because of how he grew up. He grew up in a really bad drug neighborhood. And so I go to these specialists and I've asked them, so tell me, how should I do that? And that's the fascinating thing that you have here in the US is you have so much knowledge. You can hook up to colleges, you know, to smart, they call them smart people, doctors. You know, they have all degrees and they have all this knowledge, and you can ask them. So sometimes I think, why don't you ask them? You know? I mean, if you look at the college system, there's everything is there. You know, sports science, sports psychology, nutrition, every element you want to connect to soccer is there, but we rarely tap into those resources. So I did that, you know, when I took Germany, and I brought in a sports psychologist, and I learned myself from him. I learned a lot, but I also learned their limits. You know, there are also limits that they have. You know, with all their knowledge and their degrees and diplomas and all that stuff they have in their pockets, they have also their limits. But you're gonna figure out then what is good for you and what you just throw in the trash can, and you don't want to use it. And you have all a tremendous knowledge that you can use and use every day. We go on, we move on, that's fine. I went to Brazil. It was very interesting. In the beginning of December, there's Carlos Alberto Pereira, who also presented years ago at the convention. And he based on that model a bit on the convention. He built his own coaching symposium in Rio. It went now in its 8th year. And I was there about 7 years ago, and there were maybe more than 50, 70 coaches. I went down there this year, or in December last year, and there were about 1,200 coaches, all coaches from the 1st and 2nd division in Brazil. The national team coach was there, and I learned a lot. There were panels where Brazilian coaches that won World Cups and championships were having discussions about the style of play that we always talk about, and about what Brazil should stand for. And they were going each other, and they were going at each other, they were going in each other's faces. And I said, wow, what's going on here? You know? So I had my thing translating from Portuguese, and so they went at each other because the traditional Brazilian coach said, we should always play the Brazilian style. Means samba, going forward, combining, 1-2 touches, dribbling in the box, get it done. Then there comes the young coach and says, BS, it's not working anymore. And why is that? No, because you have Spain now. They do all that stuff, but in both directions, defensively and offensively. So they said, we missed the train. And here comes Brazil, 5 times world champion, realizing we missed the train. What happened the last couple of years on the top level? In soccer. So for me that was really, really impressive. And I had the next day a presentation about how to prepare a team for a World Cup in its own country, which I did with Germany. So I kind of had the Brazilian national team coach sitting there in the first row and trying to kind of give him all the support from the whole group in that process now 2.5 years into a World Cup in Brazil, because he has only one thing to get done is winning the trophy. Anything else, he loses his job, and he knows that. But he might actually lose his job already on the path towards the World Cup if he doesn't play the samba style and wins it all in samba style. So I told them, honestly, you've got to come back down to earth, Brazilian people, as much as I love you and I love your style, because it's not working that way anymore. Because there are benchmarks coming every year in a new way. You know, and the benchmark right now in world soccer is Barcelona. It is the benchmark. And with Barcelona came the Spanish way of playing it also in their national team. And they have not only the most exceptional players at the moment, they play it to perfection. It's just the way it is. So how can we catch up with them now? So or you learn from them and you take pieces and you modify them, or you're not playing samba that long in your own World Cup. But it is interesting because it shows you that there's always a development. There's always something new that's never stopping. The moment you stop and you're not listening to other coaches and you're not listening to or watching games that, you know, there's a kind of something new, something different, and then you go backwards. Brazil, for right now, went backwards. I'm sure they're coming also back towards, the closer we get to the World Cup, and they have exceptional players. But they got to mold it in the right way. So it is interesting, and I was really shocked, and I thought, well, I never thought that they can have, as Brazil, so much doubt about their own capabilities. That was absolutely fascinating. But they created their own environment. they thought we know it all, we proved the world, you know, and we are the best, you know, because we won that trophy 5 times. But right now, if they don't change, they won't do it anymore. Enough said by me. I rather, you know, have you come up with questions, with thoughts, with ideas, and I can pick maybe from you a couple of things as well. It's a real pleasure to be here. It's a privilege for me. All we're trying to do is really making it clear to all of you that it's your national team. It's your US team that wants to do well. It's a lot of work that we're going to put in to do well for you, that you identify with that team, that you enjoy that team play on TV or at the stadium, then hopefully, and that it also comes with a little bit of a success down the road, meaning in Brazil then in 2014. We are very open about every voice out there. You know, when I started, I said right away there will be always training sessions open before home games, giving anybody that lives in the area the chance to come with the kids and watch it. I know the women's do the same way. There's always ways to connect to us and to, you know, ask things and communicate things. It's not a closed environment, the U.S. national team. It's an open environment because it's your team. That's what I wanted to say this morning, and I hope you enjoyed these couple of comparisons there. And if you have any questions, please go ahead.